Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 27 Villagers podcast, episode 23. Joining me, as always, Jack Salt and Ash Walker. We've got two more guests joining us in a bit, Chris Boulder and Paul Robson, as we've told you earlier in the week. We've got some audience questions for them as well that we'll get to later on. We have a full and extensive interview to go through before that, like we did with Liam King last week and with our last few previous guests. I would just like to say the response so far to Kingy's video has been very good in the 2 days that it's been on. I think he genuinely enjoyed doing it, and we've had some really lovely messages. We had one from his mum and his mum, both parents, mum and dad, who were both we all love dearly down at Ferriby. Great characters, them too. So that was really nice. Seen comments from Danny Clark today. So yeah, it's been a really good response to that, and we hope you enjoy it if you've not already watched it. But yeah, so that went really well, and we think these last few have, to be honest, lads. I think it's been a really good.
I said to Salt on the phone earlier. Sorry, to interrupt. I said to Salt on the phone earlier. It seems we've moved into a new direction, a much more professional outlook. And can I just say, when we could join the call, why did nobody say like a Teletubby? My hair was sticking up.
You always look Teletubby, mate.
It was sticking up over the headphone. I just looked in the window and just saying like a bloody Teletubby. You could have told me.
But no, the
audiences.
The last couple of episodes have been fantastic, and obviously thank you to everyone that's come on. But I think what's impressed us the most is how willing they've been to answer our questions and have a good time and just enjoy themselves in this absolutely crap period. So it's really nice to see, and obviously we're looking forward to doing more in the future. Yeah,
and everyone's been really natural on the camera as well, and spoken really well, and we've had some really good chats and got some insight that we definitely haven't heard before, especially from Kingy. Some of the stories last week he was telling that we definitely hadn't heard before. That image of Jason St. Just in a body warmer will live with me for a long time.
That dent's coming out of co-op. See his car getting battered in. Deary me.
Yeah.
I've told Sam this, Salt, just before we go on. If I do cut out, and tell the audience, if I cut out, it's because I've got a family quiz going on in one room. I've got a sister doing the same quiz in another room. My brother's getting drunk with his friends in one room, and I'm doing this. So if it cuts
you've got the best option.
That's why.
You've got the best option, mate.
Right, now we've got that pre-warning out of the way. Just a quick bit of news before we go on to the interview, as usual. So it's the first sort of higher up the pyramid leagues have made a decision, and the National League North and South we'll see you in August, lads, because it's done. That's it. Null and void, finished. So yeah, it's first big bit of news, I would say, since the lockdown, really. Potentially a nail in the coffin for lower down the pyramid, unless they're willing to look at options of expanding leagues next season to still incorporate promotion if lower leagues want to carry on. I guess we hope we learn something from Boris's roadmap that's coming in the next few days. But I think if we're going to take unfortunately, probably the realistic view, I was going to say the cynical view, but to be honest, the realistic view is that I think that will just be the first of many leagues to make a very similar decision, unfortunately.
To be honest with you, Sam, this roadmap that Boris is going to set out on Monday is just going to be like a normal, typical British road, full of potholes and bumps all along it.
And speed bumps.
And speed bumps, yeah. No, it's
the speed bumps are just his bumbles, I believe. We're like that man, and we'll have any sense out of him, won't we?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting what Boris comes out and says on Monday. But as for the National League North and South, I mean, I still think it's a bit early to be calling null and void yet. I mean, we're only in February. Even if we started again late March, early April, you've still got a chance of getting some more games in, of which you'd then have a better position to be able to do PPG, and then you can do your promotion, your relegation, and your league expansion can be done then. But I just think it's been a bit rushed. I think they're impatient as an organisation. it's obvious by some of the statements. I mean, I have Ollie Bayless's notifications on, reading some of the quotes from National League North and South clubs coming out and saying we're going to fight this to the death, the legal battles, everything. So yeah, it's just a bit of a farce down there, really. I like you say, Sam, the cynical, but what's the word I'm looking for?
Realistic.
Realistic, thank you. The cynical but realistic view is obviously that I think that's going to have a domino effect now. I think it will be within the next 2 weeks where we'll get our statement saying that our league's done. But you never know. They might see a bit of sense and say, right, we're going to wait a bit more, see what Boris says, see what his roadmap says, and if they can start outdoor sport again, like he's saying, to be hopefully beginning of March, which obviously where we've all got an interest in that with 6-a-side, obviously that might pave the way to sort of a bigger gap so that sort of sport can continue. But it's all just up in the air completely at the minute, so it's just impossible to try and comment on, really.
You finished? Bloody hell.
Sorry.
I'm waiting to get a wedding. You called them impatient, right? Which I think is very unfair. Think about the clubs at that level. They've got to pay contracts out to players. They're getting no income at all. They can't afford to pay their players.
So fair
to play games of football.
Fair
but then they're still paying 80% of the wages.
Still
in the long run, but they can't afford to do it. It's not feasible for that level of football to continue without financial support. A loan isn't a financial, incentive for those clubs.
That is a
they
joke.
Need a grant. They need a grant. So the right to tear around, maybe not null and void it, but still have to pay the players. That's the problem. So they have to null and void it rather than delay it for a month. I didn't think about this earlier when I said to you on the phone call, they should just delay it. They're still going to have to pay the players, which is a bit of a problem they've got. That's the problem.
I see both sides of that. I get what you're saying, Ash, and it's legitimate, but I also get has it been rushed? I mean, I'm looking at the stats now, and it was 15 teams in the National League North and 9 teams in the National League South voted for it. 7 teams in the North voted against, and 12 teams in the South voted against it. So it was 24-19. So it was a close run thing, right? It wasn't unanimous across the leagues, and obviously the teams in those leagues will have different financial positions. But I think the closeness of that vote tells you that it's certainly it's controversial in a way, and it's but like we say, it is different financially for clubs at those levels compared to step 3 downwards. Who haven't been playing anyway throughout any of this.
So Jessie J sang a song about dominoes, and I think this could be the first domino to fall. I think Jessie J sang this song. I'm not
yes.
Sure. But,
gosh, can we move on swiftly?
For me, no, because we're going to rank Jessie J's 2 albums in a minute. No, in my opinion, I think we'll see the Northern Premier League go next week.
Yeah.
And then they'll all be flapping. They'll all be flapping at County's headquarters.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? They'll all be flapping on the Zoom calls. They'll be flapping around trying to make a decision. I think they'll ultimately go as well. So, see you in August.
Yeah, well, we've got the FA competitions as well. We don't know what that means for them about the FA Trophy. Obviously, don't know what it means about the VARs. I mean,
I know.
Realistically, I mean, I had this conversation with Sean last night. Congratulations to Sean and Emma.
Oh, yes. Yes, well said, Jack. We echo that.
But yeah, we were talking last night, and we were saying that we've still got, considering we've got to play CM again, we've still got 6 games to go until we get to Wembley. I know, obviously, we've had such a ride and it's been fantastic, but you kind of say, is there any point?
Well, especially when the last, Harrogate Town are a football league club still waiting to play a final of a non-league competition from last season.
Exactly.
So, I think that they will probably go as well, and it's a shame. And obviously, if we've got to wait till August, I mean, we'll be down to interviewing the under-15s manager by then. We'll have been through everybody.
Sam, do not worry. We've got a list, haven't we, Sol?
We've got a list, mate. Got a list.
By April time, I think we're going to wheel out some blasts from the past, I believe. We're not going to tell you much.
Oh God.
Greeny's betting episode is end of March.
Now that needs to be for Cheltenham. That's coming up soon, isn't it?
Hey,
We need
to
Greeny's
change.
corner.
We need to change the name of our six-a-side team as well to this Uruguayan racetrack, which I won 60 quid on the other night.
Yeah, when you were pissed as a fart.
Don't know what
Right,
you
we're
mean.
not gonna go. We're not gonna go too much into that, right, Jack? You can inform
I saw a message.
the two of them that they can join now before we get Ash into any trouble.
I'm never in trouble. I'm always good.
He was already in trouble with the missus.
He always is. There's no change there.
She was fine. She understood my predicament.
It was a good night we had though, lads, wasn't it? God.
Well, I'm thinking this is where his music knowledge about Jessie J is coming from
I
that
think
music
so.
round last week. Although I trashed everyone, but
Well, can we just say the whiskey kicked him by round two? I wasn't taking it serious after that point.
Oh, we've got one of them.
oh, we have one.
Hopefully the other one won't be far behind. It's always an awkward silence, isn't it? There he is. The gaffer. How are you, sir?
How are we?
Yeah, not bad, mate.
Yeah, good, mate.
How's lockdown treating you?
Oh, wonderful, eh? How are you lot?
Yeah, too bad.
Yeah,
How's half term? Obviously, a bit of time off for you.
Well, you say that. I've been grafting non-stop, mate, to be honest. We've got a lot. It's kind of like a catch-up time for us rather than a relaxation time.
I think Ash knows that more than any of us.
Yeah, I'm flapping around getting ready. So, yeah.
Just got to wait for Robbo now. Who knows what he's doing? He's always late, isn't he? Never on time.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got a big interview for you, Chris. I think I went a bit mad last night writing the questions, but we've got it'll be good for both of you. I mean, how's it been, sort of not having football to take your mind off work?
It's been so strange, mate. And then obviously the news that came out yesterday with regards to the National League. It's just like, I don't know. I was still very optimistic that we could get some football between now and at whatever end of the season date arose. But it's just looking even more unlikely now, isn't it?
It's kind of burst the bubble a bit, really, hasn't it?
Yeah, we were just discussing this before you came on. You would think it would be a bit of a trickle-down effect, wouldn't you, if they're the first ones to go, because then you have to start thinking about, well, if they're not accepting promotion and relegation this year, then how do you sort everyone else out if everyone else carries on? And yeah, it doesn't look great, does it?
It's not. Am I right in thinking it's not confirmed yet?
Yeah, it'll have to be ratified by the
FA
FA.
have
I'm
to
assuming,
agree to it, don't they? Yeah.
Because I've seen a few clubs have already started to look at contesting it, haven't they, and how they're going to kind of come up with alternatives. But
we were just saying as well, like it was quite a close run thing. It was hardly like unanimous across the two divisions. There wasn't much in it, so I can understand why there's a lot of clubs that are really unhappy about it and want to try and challenge something on it. But yeah, we really hope that we see Ferriby again before we're playing friendlies in July and August. I mean, God.
It's quite crazy, and I think you think last year was, kind of surreal in the way it unfolded, but I think everyone kind of came to terms with it, but never anticipated it happening for, a second successive season. But, you just think of all these players, in essence, they've lost, 2 years of their footballing careers, haven't they? And it's not, especially for those that are coming towards the later stages of their career. It's been tough.
I can imagine.
Yeah, you work so hard and put so much into it, and obviously have great occasions like we've had this year in the VARs and things, and then if you get 2 years worth of it taken away from you, it is a lot to take, really.
Well, you think when I sat down with Les again, obviously almost 2 years ago now, our aim and objective was to try and get up the leagues as quick as we possibly could. And, in the grand scheme of things, we had a great opportunity last season. I think momentum was on our side. I think, we would have got to where we wanted to be. With the squad that we've built this year, we could have been looking at challenging again, and then in 2 years, in such a short time, we're getting close to where we want to be again. But it's just very frustrating all around.
Is Robbo on his way, Jack? Or?
Well, he's said that he's sent me the thumbs up. So you know what Robbo's like. We all know what he's like. He's never. He takes his time, doesn't he? He's a very laid back man, a bit like you, Chris. But yeah,
I just messaged him as well.
He won't be long, I'm sure. I might just blame it on you, Sam. Say you sent it to the wrong email or something.
I was just about to say, we sent him to King's chat last week. Is that where he is? He's something on there.
Oh, God knows. Yeah, got some nice feedback off you, Chris, about Kingy's interview.
Brilliant. I enjoyed listening to that. I've enjoyed listening to them all, to be fair. It's just nice listening. You can plug your earphones in and, potter about and do bits and bobs what you need to do. And it's nice listening to it, to be fair. And I've seen it's tradition that everyone has a beer. So I've obviously got a beer ready.
I've got you, Chris. I've got you, mate.
I've let the side down tonight now, haven't I? It's usually me banging a drum, but I've let the side down. I'm on the Pepsi tonight.
They're both still hungover after our drinks last week, Chris. Honestly,
right.
Should have seen the state of them.
Let's not go there.
I'm not talking about that, Salt.
What was it? Like a little teams?
Yeah. We had a bit of a night out, boys, didn't we? We had a bit of a night out at home.
Yeah.
What is he doing?
Well, Robbo's not even read my message. Sometimes this spaceman falls asleep and all sorts.
Well, he replied to me, so
when?
About 2 minutes ago.
Oh, really?
So I messaged him saying we're ready for you, Robbo. I apologise to the watchers for this. Oh, here he is! Finally, give him a round of applause as he joins. he took his time, but he's here. He was about as quick as he was running down that right-hand wing when he played for Ferriby. God,
his car full of gone.
I don't.
Or his hamstring.
I don't. One of them. Or I'll have been sorting his beard out. It'll have been one of the two. You know what he's like.
Where is he then? Come on.
Right, he's there. Come on, Robbo. He said he's going to try and do it on his iPad because the missus needed the laptop. So this could go interesting.
Oh,
hey! You're muted, Robbo.
Unmute,
mate. Unmute.
There we go.
Finally. You take your time. That was quick for you. God, I'd love to see what slow was like.
How are we, lads?
Yeah, all right, mate. How's things?
Not bad.
Not bad at all. Yes, but how are you?
Yes, all right, mate.
Fantastic. Right, go on, Sam. Get us started. Get us off and running quickly.
I mean, we'll finish Chris's interview 10 minutes ago. So
5 minutes later, are we?
Yeah, something like that, mate. Yeah. Punctuality was never your strong point, Robert.
We're gonna obviously both of you. We'll do the formal introduction. Of course, everyone knows, but we've got North Ferriby FC manager Chris Boulder and assistant Paul Robson joining us tonight. We've had a few of the players on. We've had Sean the Kitman on. We went back to Liam King last week. So these our latest two guests, a little bit different in that we've advertised it this week and got a few audience questions for the end as well. But we're going to start by, because you're both associated with Ferriby, not just through your management now, but both as players with the old club. So we're going to go back to the playing career to start with before we get to management. So this one for both of you really. What are like your earliest memories of football and who sort of got you into football and playing it as kids?
Come on, Bolt. You can fire away.
I think my dad was obviously a big influence. He played football. My granddad, Alf, obviously there's still a cup, the Alf Boulder Cup. So he was a big influence in getting me involved in football at such a young age. I was interested in all sports. Played rugby, played football, and eventually you get to the age where you've got to kind of make a decision about what you want to do. And that was the path I decided to go down. And obviously, having an older brother, there was always that competitive element there. And we played in the same teams. We competed regularly outside of the house So that kind of my earliest memories are probably from there, really.
Yeah, similar. I mean, same as Paul's. I've got an older brother, so he'll agree with me that we'll probably get a lot of kicks when we were younger, a lot of kicks when we were older brother. So yeah, I think I joined quite late to Sunday League. To be fair, I think my first Sunday League team was like under 9s or something. So it wasn't too early. But yeah, just kicked on from there, and then obviously high school, you got the choice, YT and stuff like that, and yeah, shuffled over to Doncaster.
Fantastic. So obviously, Chris, we'll start with you a bit. So obviously, you and Adam both started off at City, then you went on to Grimsby. How was sort of the move from City and into Grimsby, and how was the move to professional football for you?
Obviously, you know, I thoroughly enjoyed my time at Hull and did my YTS there, and you know, I did it when Gary Bradshaw was there as well, and Nathan Peat was there as well. So, you know, I had great times and great memories at Hull, and it wanted to be at that moment in time. It was great to watch Adam and Gaz, you know, break into the first team there. But obviously, it wasn't meant to be for me, and then I ended up moving on to Grimsby, and you know, ended up bizarrely enough making my professional debut against Derby County against Adam at Pride Park. So, you know, it's strange how these things work out, but you know, I thoroughly enjoyed my time at Hull, and you know, even my short stint at Grimsby was a great experience. Played against some fantastic players, and you know, I do look back on them, even though it wasn't a long career. I do look back on it with fond memories.
I bet Adam left a few on you in that game, didn't he?
To be honest, it's a strange situation, really. We was kind of, he came off and I came on, so we didn't actually, you know, kind of spend time on the pitch at that moment. But I do remember it was on Boxing Day and we came out 3-1 winners on that occasion. So it was a nice debut for me.
Fantastic. And obviously, Robert, like you just said, you started off at Donny and then moved down to London to go play for Charlton. How was that move for you? How did that come about? It must have been tough, obviously, leaving up here to go down there.
No, not at all. It was so Glyn Snodding was the first team manager of his brother Ian Snodding at Doncaster. So as soon as he got the move, I think went down to the reserves at Charlton, and he got in touch quite soon actually, and he said, "Listen, what would you be thought to be?" And at that time, Doncaster were pretty keen on keeping me on, but I kind of took the chance and headed down south. And to be fair, I loved it. Loved my time down there, but just got the odd injury here and there, and kind of broke through reserves a little bit. Like got on the bench, in the squad for the first team, but I missed out on the bonus because they lost that game. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was brilliant down Charlton.
Fantastic. Go on, Mark.
Excellent. So, Robert, then you moved on to America to play for Long Island Rough Raiders and Crystal Palace Baltimore. How did you find that experience?
Unbelievable. Probably the best experience I've had in football-wise, just because of obviously at Ferriby there was more trophies and stuff. It was more successful, but just America, the enjoyment, the lifestyle, just loved it. And I'd say my time in Baltimore was probably the best, just because. Just a better lifestyle, better way of living. All the lads were like living in the same complex with tennis courts and swimming pools, and it was just, it was an amazing time to be fair. And it was just a little bit unlucky that the club I was with, they didn't quite balance the books. So like we kind of caught out, like they just dropped it on us one season that the club might be like going into liquidation. So yeah, ended up coming back to England.
I was going to say, is that
just what was the quality like over there football wise?
Do you know what, the Long Island Fridays was decent. It was like the level below. But when I went to Baltimore, like there was me, there was an Irish lad, and then we had like a Cameroon international, Matthew and Buta. There was 3 lads from Japan who were brilliant, like sponsored by like was it Mizuno or Puma or something. There was very good quality on the team. We had like one of the best indoor footballers in the team, Neto from Brazil, Lucio Gonzaga from Brazil. It was just flooded with foreigners, like just from everywhere. Portugal, Argentina. I'd say it's hard to compare because it's just a different way of playing out there. It was a lot hotter most of the time. So it was a really slow and technical, but yeah, I mean, English League, you can't really compare.
You played with those players and then ended up playing with Chris Boulder.
Yeah. He's come to England and start kicking people.
Fantastic.
So Robbo, what made you come back to England? And you ended up at Newport, if I remember rightly. Is that correct?
Yeah. So Anthony Hudson, he was the coach of one of the teams in my first season when I was in Baltimore, and he was the coach of one of the teams in that league. And he must have known about me. And I came when I left Crystal Palace Baltimore. I tried a few other clubs in America. One was in Carolina, which was very, it was pretty much going to happen. But then I kind of had the edge to come back to England and try it out again. So when I came back, Anthony got in touch. He was down at Newport. He just got the job down there. And he said, look, I think you can come and do a job down here, which went down there and unfortunately got the sack from Newport.
Awesome.
Excellent. Is it you now, Sam?
Yeah, go on, Shep, bro. Go on, Shep.
Right, so we'll go back to Chris. So your non-league career started after you left Grimsby. How big was the change, sort of, from being a professional footballer going down to the non-league level, the change in football and the change in lifestyle, I guess, as well?
Yeah, it was a big shock, really, and it's kind of strange circumstances because, I'm sure many people are in similar situations, but my future at Grimsby hinged on the fact of whether we stayed up or whether we got relegated, and it was always the case that there was another contract there for you if we managed to stay in the league. It didn't happen on the last day of the season. We ended up getting relegated, hence the manager left and all the players who were out of contract left. So it was kind of like a big shock to the system. And it was one of them where, do you kind of continue to go, on trial in pre-season or do you go down a different route? And I had an opportunity to go to university and study a sport and exercise science degree and signed for Ossett United. And, it was Steve Richards was in charge then, and Steve Kittrick was the assistant manager. I met with them, and it sounded great, and I could play part time and do my degree. So I went down there, not the greatest of surfaces, but there were some good players. And and you see this in non-league now. You get players who are coming down, and you get players who are going up, and the standard was decent. If there was a lot less football played, but there was some good teams, some good players in there, and I only did a season there, and then ended up meeting Les and Bri France at the old Swiss Cottage, and ended up signing for Ferriby.
Yeah, that leads on nicely actually, because my next question was going to be: so your first spell with Ferriby was between 05 and 08. So how was your time then at the club? And yeah, so you've just touched on it a bit, but how did the move come about? I guess meeting Les and Brian France.
Yeah, I think Les was and Bri were these people who wanted local players to be playing for the club, and if they thought they could add to the team, then they were kind of saying, well, why would we be playing out of the town if you can play for North Ferriby? So they got in touch with me, and I met them. They came down to my end, to East Ullen, and I met them in Swiss Cottage, and from the minute I spoke to them both, I was sold on it, and I couldn't wait to get going. And when I arrived at the club, and people like Gary Bradshaw and obviously playing for the likes of Footy, and then obviously when Robbo comes later on, it was unbelievable. I thoroughly enjoyed my time at North Ferriby, and went on to play, many games for the football club.
So you left Ferriby in 08 to go to Guiseley, but then you came back a short time later. Why was it such a short spell at Guiseley, and what sort of dragged you back to Ferriby?
The travelling was tough. My connection with Steve Kittrick, lured me to Guiseley. They were a club where I thought, we had a real chance of promotion. Not that, I didn't think that at Ferriby at the time, but it was just an opportunity for me to go and try something different. I loved my time at Guiseley. There were some fantastic players. James Hansen was there, James Walshaw was there. James Cottrell, some amazing players there, and I did really enjoy my time. We just missed out on getting promoted. And then I spoke to Neil Allison again, who was the manager at Ferriby at the time, and the time was right for me to come back.
Then obviously you came back for the golden era.
Yeah, it was, again, amazing memories, and for obviously my last season as a player at Ferriby to be a part of a treble-winning side was brilliant.
Do you know, because you're leading as well for questions today. So I was going to speak to Robert. So obviously your first year at Ferriby was Chris's last, and obviously it was a really good season. Obviously winning the treble. How was it playing alongside Chris? And sort of, did you ever think that there'd be like a managerial partnership blossoming from it?
At that point, no, because obviously we were just cracking on playing. But I always kept an eye on Ferriby, even when I was at Newport and Lincoln, and even in America, because I grew up with Bradders, like playing against Gary Bradshaw, so I knew the quality he had. Obviously, when he was at Hull City, he was playing for the first team. So I always kept an eye on Ferriby, because I always saw guys scoring every week. And then when you look at the team and you see like the Boulder and like strong players coming into the Ferriby setup, you always keep an eye on it. So when I left Lincoln, Belief got in touch. There was a few local teams getting in touch, but Belief was really keen. Came to my house and we discussed it, and yeah, it just seemed right. And obviously I knew Niff and Pete and people like that were at the club as well, so it was really strong. There was a lot of experience in the team for that level, which is hard to find now, really, when you look at our level. So having that much experience in one team, I think it was very strong.
Fantastic. Go on, Walker.
So Chris, thinking of that treble-winning season, are there any games that really stand out to you from that season?
I think probably, I listened to Kingy, and there was a couple of games that really stood out for him. The Hensford game, definitely. I think the majority of the away trips, Ant Wilson's first game away, Nantwich away, I remember playing in that. And
what a performance that was from him.
Honestly, I remember for like the first 10 minutes, I thought, oh, the heck is this guy? He can jump higher and chest it than anybody can jump higher. And he was phenomenal. And I think that game definitely sticks in my mind from there. But yeah, any away day, I think a lot of the Ferriby lads, when we talk about away days on the coach, I think it's synonymous with the club and the team spirit and the camaraderie that we have, not just with the players but with you guys as well. That's been there a long time, and I think a lot of players remember their time at Ferriby for epic away trips.
There's a special one for you too, isn't there?
Yeah, it was that this season, Ash, the one we were talking about last night.
The Grantham game, 2-0 down at half time, and I think you scored the first goal, Chris, in the comeback.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, awful place to go, Grantham.
Yeah, it's not brilliant.
Oh, awful stadium. It just had that feeling when you got there. But yeah, 2-0 down, and then managed to get a goal and get us back amongst it, which was great.
Yeah, because back at that time, obviously we there was 4 of us there. Me and Ash was there, and a couple of others. And we were back at the edge of us thinking, oh, fucking hell, we're at school in the morning, right? We're 2-0. It's a Tuesday night, we're 2-0 down at Grantham, right? And then, but the second half was just class. Like Ash said, I think you got the first, and I think Kendo got the other 2, and we ended up winning 3-2. And there was a few, our away record, we've mentioned this before, was incredible that season. Went a massive way towards winning the title. And obviously the Hensford game was epic. But yeah, it was just, what amazing time. And that team was just, you said about experience, I think that was massive at that level. And especially when we were going toe to toe with one team in particular all season. Like, it was one of them where you're looking for their result every week because that nip and tuck. And I think we ended up winning it on goal difference. So it must have been, what was it like as a player, like having such a tight title race between 2 teams and knowing that if you missed a step, you'd end up in the playoffs, which is a bit of a lottery?
You kind of just crack on, to be fair. We had it was we're on a roll, to be fair, and winning becomes a habit. So when we roll into the changing room, you're not expecting to win, but you, as a team, you're going out there very, very confident to get the win wherever you go. And especially when you've got Anna Wilson and Kendall up top, and Jack Muldoon was there as well, and Bradders. I mean, as long as you're solid at the back and you do the simple things, which we did. There was no frills at the back. We defended well. We put it in good areas, but you could rely on the front lads to definitely get a goal.
Definitely.
I think Kingy hit the nail on the head as well. Do you know, we didn't think about it too much. We just had an amazing squad with a great team spirit, and once we got that roll on, it was just a norm for us. We went into every game expecting to win, and we didn't like look too far beyond it, and we didn't think about promotion and all that kind of stuff and winning the league. It was just like another game. We know we've got a great squad. Whoever's selected to play in that game, we've just got this. Like Robbo said, it's a habit, and it's a hard habit to break.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Back to you,
so Robert, what point in that season do you think that we were going to be up there pushing to win the league at the end of the season? So what point did you think that was the realistic goal?
I mean, the goal was when I signed, because I spoke with Billy and I knew the players they had for the level. So the goal was always to do very well in the league. But I think, like you said, the away at Henderson was a big game, because we knew we kind of had to win that one because it was very tight at the top. But yeah, I mean, from the start, as soon as I met Bill, I knew the lads already in the squad, and that was the aim from the start when I joined. I didn't come just to go mid-table.
And obviously a treble winning year as well must have made it that bit more special.
Yeah, somehow. I don't know what happened at the KC Stadium. there was a few lads that night, but yeah, we did it.
Fantastic. Sorry, Sam, the next question is yours, but I want to ask it. So obviously...
So before you read it, you've got it wrong, can I just say?
Oh, well, I won't read it then. Go on, Sam, carry on.
Well, you ran it in such a way, right? Apparently, that season was a special one because it was when me and Ash met Jack. So apparently that was special. You tell who's written the questions.
It was the year before, Jack.
Oh, ignore me then. Carry on. You all know how useless I am sometimes. Just skip over that, Sam, and carry on.
But we won the Dudson Cup. The Dudson Cup was part of the treble that year.
Yes, it was the PEX one. Yes.
Yeah. So we'd won that the year before as well. So we defending that. But yeah, what do you remember about that night? Obviously, like Jack's just said, Pecora in goal with the antics in the penalty shootout.
Yeah. I mean,
where was that one at? Was that one at Eastwood?
No, that was the one I was talking about. That was the year before. That one was at Curzon, wasn't it?
Curzon.
Farsley.
Yeah. You know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Peck's another great character, and performed his heroics, didn't he, in the shootout?
He did.
Yeah. Was it Bradders that scored our goal in normal time?
Yeah. Pitch one amazing, wasn't it? I remember that. Yeah,
but it was obviously those cups were quite small in comparison to winning the league, but obviously to pick up all three things we were going for in that season must have been made it even more special.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, we just had that mentality. Once we got on that roll, it was like, right, okay, whatever you put in front of us, we'll take care of it, and that's just the way it panned out.
Awesome.
Yeah, the KC one as well. I think there was a few lads come off early that game. I remember some that were like just did not want to start that game.
No.
So I think it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, was it? A few of them on the session, but I knew my limits. So I think I took one day off.
I remember.
Yeah, I think Kendo got dug out for this by Kingy last week in particular.
Kendo was the first one to be like, right, I don't want to play.
Fantastic.
So Chris, we mentioned this earlier. Obviously that ended up being your last season with Ferriby, so went out on a high, definitely. So how did the move away come about, and what was your feelings around that time, around leaving the club after such a success that year?
It was a really tough decision. I think I amassed something like 330 odd games for Ferriby over two different stints, and to kind of have the opportunity to stay with the club, and play in the league above. It was an unbelievable opportunity. But I sat down with Bill, and perhaps I think probably the time was right for me to maybe look at a challenge elsewhere. I think Bill came in and did an amazing job, but probably wanted to kind of put his own stamp on certain things. And I think a few of the lads have been there a long time, and it was probably time for us to kind of go our separate ways. And we spoke with Gainsborough. I had an opportunity to go and sign for Gainsborough. And then I spoke to the madman of Rudy Funk at Scarborough, and it was one of them where I thought, right, this challenge, it seems brilliant. And obviously Gaz and Footy were speaking to him at the same time, and I just thought this is the right time to move on. And it was really, really tough, because I have a great affinity to Ferriby as a player. So it was a really challenging decision to make, but it was the right one at the time, and I needed to do it. And obviously Ferriby went on and did amazing things after we went, so it was probably the right decision on Bill's part as well.
So obviously, Robbo, you stayed on after that year for the first Conference North year, which was another pretty unbelievable year. Little old Ferriby challenging for the title in the Conference North, playing against some of these big teams. Can you sort of remember any games that sort of stood out to you that season? Obviously, the disappointment of losing out in the playoffs.
Yeah, the Guiseley one was. I really fancied us against Guiseley, but they were pretty strong up top, if I remember right. I can't remember the striker down the middle. Yeah, down the middle, but he was a very, very good player.
I normally look to Walker. I normally look to him for them facts.
Who was the big lad
Was it Boys?
James Hansen.
Yeah, very good player. So they had a very strong team, but yeah, I backed us. But I think we had a few injuries at that point towards the end of the season, and we definitely petered off a little bit towards the end of that season. We were very strong, but then towards the back end of it, going into them playoffs, I don't think our form was as strong as a few of the other teams.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good season overall, but it was just disappointing to lose out, really. But over the two legs against Guiseley, I think the better team won, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, how much did the disappointment of missing out on the league sort of affect that playoff campaign?
Yeah, it doesn't really. You crack on. You play the same way no matter what. But yeah, it's unfortunately it was just a couple of loose goals, really, especially at their place against Guiseley. But it is what it is, and fair play to them. They did the job.
Yeah. So obviously after Ferriby, obviously that was your. That was one of your years there, Rob, the Conference North. So obviously you both went on to further non-league careers, mostly in this area: Scarborough, Barton, Brid. How sort of would you say that you both enjoyed your times there? We'll start with you, Robbo.
Yeah, I loved it. Like I say, I didn't quite agree terms with Billy for the next season, so obviously joined Rudy and the lads' balls and that at Scarborough, and loved it. Again, strong team, and again, I got to see Balls like rise up the ranks through coaching. So like, I obviously saw him work under Kitty, which was great to see. So obviously seeing where he is now is brilliant to see that progression from where he started to where he is now. Because he's done a great job. But yeah, and Brid, all good times, to be fair. All learning curves. Brig as well when I did my MCL at Scarborough. Another learning curve, just helping out coaching and stuff. But yeah, anyway, I think Curtis Woodhouse was a good to work under him at Brid. He's got a lot of knowledge in the game, to be fair. As you can see how he's doing now. So I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Back to Ferriby from there.
Yeah, how was your non-league career after Ferriby, Chris? I know you touched on it, but
Yeah, Scarborough is a big club, big non-league club, and even playing at Bridlington, they were still getting a great following. It felt like it was going somewhere, and then to be a part of the move back to Scarborough and the new stadium, it's all set up to go back to where they used to be. So I love my time at Scarborough. The fans were amazing. And obviously there, I got my first taste of kind of proper foot on the ladder of coaching, and then eventually, assistant manager. So, I do again. I always look for Scarborough's results. I still follow them. I still keep in touch with a few of the lads. They're a fantastic club, and I'm sure they'll be back up the leagues again.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Was that something you were always looking to do, Chris, or when did you start thinking I want to, potentially like to manage in non-league or at least coach in non-league?
Yeah, I think I got a bad knee injury, and as a result of my knee injury, I kind of Footy and Brian Hughes at the time, they kind of said, look, we want you to be around still. We'd love to have your input in terms of coaching and things. And that was my first real opportunity to get involved in that. I'd done my UEFA B badge, so it was something I was interested in doing once I kind of finished my playing career. So, I was always thinking about the game. Even when I was playing, I was always kind of thinking about, the tactical side of things. So I kind of knew that I'd go into coaching at some stage.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So
go
on, Rob. Go on, Walker. Go on.
Just going to finish this section off. Going to start with you, Robbo, and then I'm just going to come to you as well, Chris, towards the end. So you came back, Robbo, and finished your career at Ferriby under the management of Chris. But both of you, how was it that time? Because there was a lot going off the other side of the pitch. How were you both affected by that?
I mean, I remember when I joined and when you first stepped through the bar, and it was like I was used to the old days where it was packed after a game and stuff like that. So it's straight away, you know the difference is there, and it's quite an empty bar and stuff. So there was a lot going on. There was a lot more juggling what we had to do with regards to things all around part of the game, in and out the dressing room. But yeah, that's why it's so special when you see the club where it is now, like how it's got back on track with the fans and stuff. But at that point, there was just people who was just trying to keep it going, but it just wasn't the right time for it. The fan base wasn't there.
Yeah,
I think from my perspective, obviously, when I went back, I love North Ferriby. Like I said to you, I have a great affinity to the place, and the opportunity to go back, was an unbelievable opportunity. So, I am grateful for getting that opportunity to go back. And as soon as I went there, I did it on my own for quite a while, but I was pestering Robbo. And, once I'd worked with Robbo, initially at Ferriby and then at Scarborough, I saw the qualities and the attributes that he had, and I thought, he would make, a perfect partnership with me. So I pursued that, and I worked hard to try and get convince Robbo, because he was coaching at Bridlington at the time. So it was a kind of a big pull for him to leave what he had there, but I kind of persevered with it, and managed to get him in. And like Robbo said, there was a lot of juggling. We had to deal with an awful lot that was going on. You do try and say, look, our job is just to concentrate and deal with what we can affect on the pitch. But we were throwing curveballs all the time. So it was a great experience, and we probably learned more in that 12-month period than what some people would probably learn in, maybe even a lifetime of coaching. It was having to adapt and juggle lots of things, and I thought the performances on the pitch in the main, were very, very positive. And working with Robbo, we could see that we were going to work well together. So it was tough, but it was definitely an unreal learning curve for us.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Fantastic. Go on, Shepard.
So yeah, we do. I was just going to say, I do remember, some great performances at that time, despite all the difficulties that went on with the club at that point. But so your first job as a manager was back with Ferriby. So how was the change for you'd done a bit as an assistant? So that transition from being an assistant to being the manager, how did you find that? Was it comfortable for you? Did it come naturally?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. To be fair, when I worked under Kitty, he gave me a free rein, really. I was kind of responsible for the vast majority of the training. He allowed me to have a great input, in the pre-match talks at half-time, the post-match talks. So, he was kind of schooling me really, really well for my next step. So I want like an assistant where I didn't really kind of get involved too much, and I have my opportunity to put my stamp on things. Kitty allowed me to kind of do that, so it gave me some great grounding. And when I went into Ferriby, we was in the Conference North. We had some players on contracts. We had some players who perhaps didn't want to be at the football club, were finding themselves in very challenging circumstances with a new owner and doing things very, very differently. So it was a task coming in and trying to turn around people's mindsets and getting them to play for a young manager in his first job. But the lads were great, and the lads responded extremely well. And like I said, we put in some fantastic performances, and we were definitely going in the right direction with the vision that we wanted to do.
Yeah, I think we definitely saw that. You probably covered this a little bit, but was it what sort of made you want to take that job? Was it the challenge, because you knew what was going on around Ferriby at the time? Was it just wanting to have a stab at being a first team manager rather than an assistant? Was it just the love of the club, or a combination of things?
I think a combination of everything, to be honest, Sam. I think the timing of it was just, for me, it was just the right time I love, like I said, I love Ferriby, and the opportunities to be a manager, it don't come around very often. You look, there's only obviously one person at each club who can be responsible for this. So the opportunity to come and manage my hometown club, a club that I'd played a lot of games for, it's too good to turn down at that time.
Yeah. So obviously during that season, Chris, I mean, I think it's fair to say that we were losing most games in that season, and obviously it was tough with some of the players that we had and sort of the level we were playing at. How hard was it for you to manage that sort of team, especially in your first job as well?
It was tough, because we were playing against some fantastic teams, and everyone that we played up against, we were expected to get beat and get well beat as well. And we had some, when we went through the transitional period, we had to get rid of a numerous amount of players and bring in some, relatively inexperienced players who'd never stepped foot at that level before, and try to get them to compete against, seasoned semi-pro players at a good level, earning good money, was difficult. But I remember some games we went away to Bradford Park Avenue, put on an amazing performance and managed to cause an upset there. And then we went to Darlington, and we got well turned over by just some unbelievably clinical finishing. And they were the experiences that help us and form you as a manager now, and you can draw upon them. So it's all right when everything's rosy and everything's going well. Do you learn too much? I'm not so sure. When things are difficult and you're presented with lots of challenges, and not just on the pitch, off the pitch as well. How do you deal with that? How do you respond to that? And I think that's definitely helped us in our young career already.
Yeah, definitely. So just as a bit more of a general point now, so as a sort of like a growing manager, obviously you're growing even more now. Who did you sort of take inspiration from? Who were sort of like your role models from a managerial point of view?
I think you've got to take bits from everybody, haven't you? I think it's the same, same in most walks of life. Whatever you do, you try and, you take a little bit of the best bits from everyone you've experienced, and also kind of weigh up some of their, negatives and think, how would you do it differently, perhaps, and would you do that in the same situation? So I think I've experienced, a whole breadth of managers, from shouters and ballers, from people who have great tactical knowledge about the game, from people who are kind of great at putting their arm around people. Got people who have big budgets and bring players in, and how they fit them into a squad and into a system. And I've played under managers who've had everything against them. So I think you've got to draw little bits and bobs from everybody and but you've got to be your own person. You've got to have your own style, and you've got to kind of, be yourself as what you are. But of course, with anything you take little bits from everybody. That's how you learn.
Fantastic. Go on then, Ash, we'll go back to you.
So it's a question for both of you. We'll start with you, Robbo. So what is your favourite game as part of your management duo with Chris? What's your favourite game as management duo?
There's a few, to be fair. FC United was a really good game. To finish the season like that with the lads, and the way they played, they just demonstrated everything we wanted to put together as a management team, and we did it on a nice little surface and a nice place to do it. So that was a nice game. There's been a few, especially this season. But that one with the team we had at that point, that stands out, just with the way we put it on the team in that nice little ground, and obviously last game of the season to finish it off.
Walker's favourite non-league ground, that.
Nice ground, very nice ground.
It was a bit sarcastic, but he don't like it. He hates it for some reason.
It'll look good when it's finished. I just don't think they've just done a half job on it, haven't they?
We won't get you back involved with that, Ash. That was for previous episodes. But yeah, Chris, what would you say was your best?
I think when, like Rob was right, I think when you look at that game at FC United of Manchester, we worked so hard on our principles and our philosophy, and I think there was only two players who played in that game. I think it was probably Bobby Johnson and Jordan Cook who played in that game, who we inherited originally. Everybody else was players that we then recruited ourselves. So, it was a big kind of building process, but I think the way we performed just epitomised how we want to play. But I think as well, when you look last season, Parkgate away, once again,
great performance.
Once again, me and Robbo are very clear in how we want our lads to kind of perform in possession and out of possession, and we give them set directives of what we would like them to do. And if you look at that Parkgate game, they just delivered it to a T, and the lads were absolutely amazing. But the way they went about the business and the way we kind of manipulated the ball was impressive that day, and then you look at a couple of games this season. I think a lot of people have alluded to the Withenshaw game, and the pleasing thing for me and Robbo is our input at half time, for them, the lads, to kind of take that on board, and then kind of put in a performance the way they did, and then show unbelievable character to come out on top of a penalty shootout. So we've got memories for different reasons, really.
Yeah.
On
it. Yeah, we hear you gave him a bit of a pasting, Chris, at half time of that one.
Yeah, they needed it, and that's it. I'm not really a shouter and baller, neither is Robbo, but the lads do realise that if they've kind of fell below their standards, it's not what we set them, it's what they set themselves. So we become frustrated with them when they kind of fall below their own personal standards, and players need reminding in different ways, and that particular day, in our opinion, was needed a forceful reminder. There's sometimes where they don't need that and they need a tactical reminder, but they didn't need a tactical reminder that day. They just needed a little bit of excellent.
They did. Fantastic.
I've asked you what your favourite games are. What would you say the worst games are? What are the lowest moments of your management careers?
Go on, Robert.
From this season.
You, Robert.
From this season?
Throughout your management career.
I mean, I don't know if it's the worst of the grid. I'll just go off this season, just with what's gone on, and obviously the season's probably going to end. But I just think, disappointing-wise, I'd say the Winston game. Just for the lack of tempo, the lack of wanting to get on the ball. And listen, me and Balls, when mistakes happen, they happen. We'll never shout at lads for making mistakes, but it's more of, if you're making mistakes, then you're shying away from getting back in possession. That frustrates us. So mistakes are always going to happen, but be willing to get on the ball. And we were just flat. I remember that game, the first 10 minutes, we looked at each other on the sideline and was like, feels different tonight. And the tempo about the place, the talking between the lines, there was no really pattern to play that night. And fair play to Winston, willing team, good runners, everything positive and bright. Got some good players in that team. But I thought we just let ourselves down a little bit that night. But the great thing about that is, I think both seasons with me and Balls, when we've had these setbacks, which you need, because you learn the most from them games. That's paper over cracks when you're winning all of that. When you get them games, you can really get together like you both and figure out what just happened and speak with the lads. And we've always had a reaction when we get them type of games, which is brilliant to see, and it shows the character in the squad and the teams.
That's a great point. I think.
Oh, he's cut out. Bloody. Oh, there you go. Start again. Start what you were saying again, Samuel. Is he there? Oh, do you know technology? You there, Sam? Just speak.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry. What I was trying to say was, after we got beat by Emily, you're talking about setbacks. I think, did we win 6-7 games in a row after that? And again, I think after Winston, we had a big Vars game or something just after that, and we bounced straight back and won it. And I think that's testament to you two and to the squad, really. We don't have many setbacks this season, especially, but when we do have, we seem to bounce back straight away.
It's important, we say to the lads all the time, you've got to reflect on things, but you can't dwell on it. And, I know everyone says the same kind of things. You can't affect what's already happened. You can only kind of do something about, either the here and now or what you're going to do in the future. And we kind of constantly try and remind the lads about that we want them to go away from a Saturday or a Tuesday and reflect on the performance, both good and bad things. But, once they've reflected on it, then that's it. You move on. And then we go training on Thursday. Me and Robbo are always upbeat, and we'll go with our new tactics or new strategies, and we'll start again. But yeah, testament to the lads, and that's the thing. When we've brought lads into the football club, of course we want lads who've got great footballing ability, great tactical awareness, and that kind of stuff. But ultimately, it's what they're like as a character, what they're like as a person. Do they fit into what we kind of want from an individual, both on and off the pitch? And see the lads that we've brought in, the lads that we've got at the football club at this moment in time, all fit that kind of profile for us. So when we do suffer disappointment, which is inevitable in football, you can't win every single game. You can't be at the top of your game all the time. So when you do suffer disappointment, it's how do you respond and how do you react from that? And that's a certain type of person that you've got to be. And I think we've got a football club that's full of them.
Definitely.
Yeah, 100%.
I jumped in a bit there, so I'll let you go back to the original question, Chris. We won't let you escape without saying which do you think is your worst game?
Yeah, I think last season, Armthorpe away, flat out and away. Just really, really bad days at the office. Robbo and myself went and watched Armthorpe. We went on a Tuesday night and we watched them the week before we played them, and we come away from that thinking, right, okay, we know what they're about. We'll be able to set our team up accordingly, and we don't kind of have any major concerns at all. And again, we just didn't.
Nothing worked.
Oh,
nothing worked.
Nothing worked. I think Emo pulled his hamstring early doors. James Pearcey ended up going off with an injury. For whatever reason, it was one of them days where I think 11 players were well below their par for whatever reason, and that's why we love football, because you can't run it all the time.
Yeah.
And nothing is guaranteed, and if we all knew why that happened and how we could stop it, we'd be probably millionaires, wouldn't we? But no. So they were disappointing. Glass out and away, another deeply disappointing performance. And then you look this season, both the Harrogate Railway game up until probably minute 50, and the Winston full game.
Yeah, definitely agree.
Yeah, well, I agree with that.
Yeah, 100%.
Go on, Shepard, you go, mate.
Right. Okay. So what we're gonna do. That was sort of management in general. We're gonna go into a bit more specific on North Ferriby FC now. So the Phoenix Club as it is. So how did the job come about at North Ferriby FC when Les was reforming it?
From my perspective, obviously I'd reunited with Kitty, and we got the job at Matlock. So Steve Kittrick was manager and I was his assistant, and we'd agreed to go. We went and met him a couple of times, and that was it. It was done. And then we can't help it. I got a message to say there's a potential, would I be interested? And I hadn't officially signed anything at Matlock. It was just a verbal agreement. And I went and met Les, and you know what Les is like. I've got an unbelievable relationship with Les, and once I sat down with him, again, it was a no-brainer. It was really, really tough because I have an amazing friendship and working relationship with Steve Kittrick as well. I owe a lot to in terms of getting myself on the kind of coaching managerial ladder, and he's someone that I speak to regularly still now. But it was again an opportunity that I just couldn't turn down, and I thought the opportunity to work under Les with my hometown club again was brilliant. And as soon as I got that, it was like, right, I want Robbo on board straight away.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so sort of well, I'll just say I think Les for Ferriby, he's the best salesman in the world, really.
He is.
I mean, he's just, the passion that bloke has is just unrivaled. It's amazing. But yeah, sort of same question to you, Rob. I'm guessing Chris has just hinted at it a bit, but you coming on, what was the process of you coming on board as assistant then at the new club?
Yeah, so at that point, the legs had completely gone. So I wasn't going to do it. They'd been gone a few seasons before that, but I was trying. So yeah, I was just going to coach that season. So I was looking at a few local options. There was a few teams getting in touch, but yeah, it was pretty quick. It was pretty quick the way that came around, and the balls got in touch. And it took me a minute to say, not even that, it took me seconds to say yes, really. But obviously, with us worked together before, we've got a lot of the same beliefs. Even when we was players, I think our mindset on the pitch, if the 50-50 is there, we're going to go all in. We've got a lot of the same beliefs on and off the pitch. So I think it bodes well for when we go about it in a tactical point of view with the team. So it was always an easy decision, really. And I think it was like a bit later, we were doing an interview with you lads down at all night. So.
God, yeah, I remember that night, yeah.
Yeah, it was a really quick process.
Yeah,
because it went live, didn't it? I had a few people say, hang about, you stand for these. And I was still like discussing. So,
I still say that is the busiest my phone has ever been on that night. Having to announce you two as the management duo, I literally couldn't hold it. It was too hot. It was too hot in my hand. I had to put it away. But trying to do an interview with both of you outside in bloody big winds and right next to the Humber Bridge, it was tough. But we've blossomed from there, gents, haven't we? We've blossomed from there. So obviously, I don't know if I'm jumping the gun here, Sam, but I'm going to anyway. So, how anxious was it for the two of you, knowing that you sort of had to build a full team? Because obviously the club was new from scratch?
Massive challenge. You know, we had no one. We had no players signed. We were entering a brand new club with kind of just Mr. Ferriby, and that was Les, and that was it. And you know, we obviously had to work extremely hard to kind of get players. You know, initially when we was talking to players, we were kind of under the impression and led to believe that we'd be dropped in step 5. So, you know, it helped the conversation a little bit, you know, when we were speaking to these lads about, you know, coming back to the football club or signing new players, about what level was going to be in. And then I remember Les ringing me at about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night and letting us know that we've been placed in step 6. My immediate thought was, oh no, all these players that we've kind of managed to convince to come to the club, you know, selling them the dream that hopefully we'd only be in, you know, the North East Counties for one season, that kind of thing, was to then go back to these players and wonder whether they would still want to kind of be a part of it. But, you know, North Ferriby is a huge club. It's got amazing facilities. It's got unbelievable people in the background. It's got amazing people like yourselves, you know, a fantastic fan base, and you know that is a bigger attraction than where we was placed in the pyramid as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that's spot on. You know, it is that certain things can overcome barriers, like being put in step 6, like you say, when you look at our club and the facilities and all things like that. But I think just the whole aura of the club, the atmosphere, you know, and Les essentially leading from the top, is he can sell that club to anybody. And you know, it was, I guess that must have made it a little bit easier, like you said, getting these players to still want to come down and still play, even though they thought we were going to be step 5, but we turned out to be step 6.
Yeah, and we had the luxury that a few of these lads had played with us before as well. One was at the club, so they knew how we went about things. But like you said, the club kind of sells itself in the way the pitch, the ground, the fans, the support base behind the club. So yeah, it's probably more of a bigger decision for the boys out of town, especially when you're dropping down the level. But yeah, I think for the most part, I think we got quite a lot of the players that we were after. To be fair, there was a few that.
And if it was, like you said, if we was ever in doubt with a player, we just brought Les along to the meeting.
Les in a pint.
He doesn't let you out there unless you've signed a document saying that you signed the club, does it?
Well, that's what it sounded like for Tillo when he was talking about it.
Yeah.
You look at someone like Tillo, and we met him at the football club. You know, and we did fantastic things about him and spoke to a lot of people about him. And literally the second he walked into that boardroom where we was sat, me and Robbo just went, we've got to get this kid on board. You know, he was just the perfect fit for us. But again, you know, Les had a chat with him. You know, he'd done his homework as well with regards to Robbo and myself and the football club. And, you know, again, he just epitomises when we're talking about bringing the right kind of character in, you know, let alone his abilities on the pitch. You know, what he is like as a human being just is the perfect fit for us.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously you had to build all that team. It took you ages to build all that team. How proud were the both of you on that night against Sheffield United when we stepped out onto the pitch for the first time?
Yeah, it was brilliant because a lot of the hard work, you can then see it against a good young team. But it was the start, because obviously you can only work on so many things pre-season. You then need to get the games going, and that's when you can really start digging into the tactics side of it once you've got them 11 games. So yeah, it was brilliant. It was brilliant because, like I say, it was a lot of work what we had to do, starting from scratch, and then to see the boys out there, obviously fresh kit and the fans being back in, it was brilliant.
Yeah, fantastic.
I think that was it. You know, getting that game arranged. And just getting the fans back, you know, just the fans that absolutely love the club. You know, it was great to see old faces again, and the feel-good factor was back, and it was back from that night. And for me, it's been back at the football club, you know, since then. And every time we go, and a part of Ferriby, whether it's home or away, and we've got, you know, our fans following us away from home or fans at home, it just feels like this kind of aura is back around the ground.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I know it doesn't technically exist, but how do you think last season went, and did it meet the expectations of you both?
Last season was completely new to Robbo and myself, and, you know, vast majority of the players. We didn't know what to expect, and I think a few games just kind of, you know, epitomised that really. With, you just didn't know what you was going to get from game to game, from the opposition, from the playing surfaces, from everything really. So it was, you know, we had to learn, and we had to learn fast, because our ambition was, you know, irrespective of that, we can't make excuses. Yeah, we're a new club. Yeah, we're trying to gel as many players as we can, and it did take us a while to get used to it. You know, it definitely did, and we went through, you know, quite a few players, you know, a bit of a turnover to try and get to where we wanted to be. But I think you saw that, you know, we had one defeat in our last 22 games in that season. So, you know, things were definitely moving in the right direction, and there was still, you know, we were still a long way where we wanted to be as well. But, you know, one defeat in 22, we had that real momentum behind us. And, you know, if the season would have concluded, I'd have been, you know, super confident that we would have achieved our aim of that year.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely. 100%. Agree.
So how does it feel to, you know, every week we're going through a game and Ferriby are the favourites? How do you feel to be the favourites every week? And would you say that there's a big pressure on you both to succeed and win?
There's probably outside pressure, but it's we're gonna go about our way the same way anyway, whatever club we're at. So you know that clubs are gonna, especially when they roll up to our home ground, you know they're gonna bring their A game, and as soon as they see the pitch, team just want to play football and they up the game. We know that, so we know we've got to be bang at it, because they're coming just to take your scalp. Like you say, we are the big team in the league with the ground we have and the pitch we have. So it's all about a mindset, really. We drill that into the lads that, like I say, when both alluded to it earlier when we went to watch the Armfort game, we were doing that a lot early on. But the longer the season went, we knew that it was mainly about ourselves, making sure the lads are bang at it with the right attitude, the right energy, the right mindset, which is key to it all, really. But yeah, I think that's the main thing, having that right mindset, and especially for the full game, because we had a few second halves last season.
We did.
Yeah,
we've had a few first halves this season.
It's been the other way around, hasn't it? Fantastic. Go on, Sam, we'll go back to you, shall we?
So how would you say we've improved from last season to this season? And just from my point of view, I just think, I just want to say, what do you think of us away from home this year? I think, because when we talked about best and worst games, one of mine I would have said with you two as a duo was Campion this season. I thought we were superb. You know, not a great pitch, terrible weather conditions that day. Campion were absolutely flying, and we completely bossed that game, and we were fantastic. And I don't know. I don't know if we would have seen something like that in the first season. But anyway, your answer. What do you think we've improved from last season?
I think, you know, no disrespect to the lads that we had last season. You know, we had a great group, and we were absolutely brilliant to work with. But there were times in games and in situations where, you know, where we were kind of missing that, you know, what people sometimes call as, you know, as like proper men. You know, we were still young and inexperienced last year. Whereas this year, what we've added is we've added lads who got experience, but got kind of the know-how and that kind of inner drive and determination as well. So when we go away from home, like the Campion game, you know, we had Eastie up front as a number 9 that game, but players like him, and Nelly and, you know, Butts and people like that we've brought in now have got that experience who, you know, can steady the ship, and they pass that on to the other lads now. So I think the difference from last season to this season is we've definitely added key experience, got kind of the right kind of feel, if you like.
Yeah, I think Jack might have sent you this script beforehand, because all your answers keep leading into the next question, because the next question was going to be, how would you say the new signings have improved us, and how did last season affect your recruitment policy in the summer?
Go on, Rob, I'll let you answer that.
Yeah, like Paul just alluded to, we knew we needed to add a little bit more steel and a bit more experience. You look at the signings we made, like Eastie was a huge signing. Obviously, Bulls knew a lot more of him than I did, but I heard like just amazing things about the kid, both on and off the pitch. And everyone who spoke to me, they couldn't have been more true, because from what I've seen of him through this season, he's a special player and a good person as well, which is massive for me in Bolts. But yeah, there's just a lot more consistency, I think, and that's what we kind of looked at for this season. We know we want to play, but we know we want to be more consistent with it, game to game, and I think we're kind of seeing that to be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And I remember when Jack was telling me and Ash saying, "Oh, we're signing Danny East," we was like, "What? This is mental signing." But yeah, he's been great, and he's been great with us and everything, and with all the fans. But all the new signings have, and bringing in a new signing as your captain, and we've talked about Tiller as well, but all of them really, I think, and like you say, I think it's clear to everyone it is that experience side that has really helped us.
I think when you're mid-season trying to bring players in, it's challenging, because the players that you want to bring in are more than likely playing at another club, and so it is really hard. So when you get to the end of a season, is key, and you look at traditionally, look at what Kingy said, and look at about what Bill did each year. You have to create that environment where players are not comfortable and they've got to think, heck, we've got some serious competition on our hands here. You need to create that. So the lads that we had last season were brilliant. Absolutely amazing for us, but we had to kind of then think in the off season and think, what players are we going to be able to kind of bring into football that's going to add this extra element and take it to the next level, and you doing that all the time.
I think one of the most impressive things as well as the new signings is the step up in performances of some of the lads that were still here. So like Kirky is a fantastic example. He is a different player this year than what he was last year. Ben Leyland as well, his performances have increased massively, and I think that just goes to show that the recruitment of the new players has sort of just upped the standards a little bit more.
It always happens. You had strong players like that into the squad. It's just going to up the levels in training and in games. And like Kirky, he's had a little bit more joy with his injury this season, so he's been able to get that rack of games under his belt now. And he's just going strength to strength as long as we can keep him fit.
Yeah.
Definitely, that's the key. You see our training sessions, the intensity and the quality is really, really high, and it's always high. And that's only going to develop players like Ben, who's maybe never trained at that intensity and that level with that kind of teammate as well. So it is going to bring out the best. And then plus, we're getting to work with them a lot longer as part-time footballers. We don't get a great deal of time on the training pitch with them in order to implement what we want. So for some people it takes a little bit more time. And I think for example, Ben now has really, really embraced what we want from him, and he's delivering it on a regular basis. So
yeah, definitely.
The standard we kind of have to tweak some sessions in our schedule before games, because the standard's so sharp and so high, and the tempo is so high in training that we have had a bit of tiredness going into the weekend. So we've had to tweak the schedule sometimes because of that, because the level is so high in training.
Yeah. Fantastic. So this season as a whole, and obviously it's been a fairly short one, obviously been cut short with all that's happened. How would you say that the season's been as a whole for you two?
In the main, it's been good. You know, obviously we've had a couple of disappointments, which we know about, but like we've said, you're going to get them throughout the season. You've got to accept that. But you know, you look at our form in the league. We always say that if you can average 2 points per game, and come the end of the season, you'll be there or thereabouts, no question. And we was well on course for that. You know, we was above our 2 point per game average. And obviously we had a great run in the Vars with some fantastic, memorable games. But not just about the way not just about progressing through to the next round. It was the manner at which we did it, which is so good for building that team spirit and that camaraderie, because it's a huge part of non-league football. Lads have got to enjoy what they're doing, and they've got to enjoy each other's company both on and off the pitch. And if you can create that, then you get the kind of performances like we did second half, against Wythenshawe, and obviously, you think back to even the Northwich game. There's these characters come to the fore in these games.
Definitely.
I think the pleasing thing as well so far for this season is that probably 90%, 95% of the time, if a neutral fan comes through the gate, they get a good idea of how me and Paul's want the team to play. They can see the patterns of play, both in and out possession. So that's really pleasing for us when we look back at footage of our games.
Fantastic. Go on, Walker.
So thinking about the Vars in general, just going to move on a little bit, thinking about the Seaham situation. So we obviously beat Seaham, in our opinion, fair and square, but obviously we've got to replay the game. What are your thoughts on that situation?
Obviously, it came as a shock when I got the call from Les with regards to what had actually transpired after the game. At no point did I think this would be the outcome, because we did everything that we should have done, everything that was asked of the football club, everything that was asked of the people behind the scenes, and speaking to the right people that it concerned. So, I didn't ever envisage it going this far. But then when you take a step back and you look at it from their point of view, then, it's not their fault either. So there's, a serious error, which is definitely no fault of North Ferriby and anybody associated and attached to North Ferriby. But at the same time, it's also not Seaham's fault. So the only probably outcome was for the game to be replayed. But we've seen them. We've got no kind of real kind of worries or fears about them. We know what they're about. They're a good side, of course, but we know if we get things right, then we'll be more than competitive.
Definitely. I agree.
I agree with that. Yeah.
100%. 100%.
Disappointing because obviously the way we won the game was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
And you can't take that away. You can't take that away. You can take the result away, but you can't take the performance away and what we gained from that. So it's just another game, and that we've got that in the bank. We've got that experience, and we've got that great memory. So that's it.
You can't take my near heart attack away either. God, I was a nervous wreck that night.
Every Vars game, Jesus.
He's a nervous wreck every game. He walks around that pitch every game, white as a sheet.
I had to go for a walk in the Winterton game, didn't I?
You did.
Fantastic. All right, go on, Ash.
Just thinking as a team as a whole, where do you think we could improve moving forward as a team?
I mean, we've alluded to it this season where we've had a few talks at full time, even after games where we won, and we've just took our foot off the pedal for the second half. And whether it's complacency, which I think the majority of is, I think the game's going our way, half time comes, we've got too comfortable. And we've had discussions as a team and as a management how we can change it. We've done the quick fee, we've kept them in a bit longer, we've gone out earlier. But on the whole, it's just mindset again. It comes down to that. They've got to go out there like you're starting the game again and go about doing the same things that me and Paul are drilling into them. Because when all it needs is one or two players to go off course and start doing their own thing, both in and out possession, change the game completely. And the guys, they know that. So I think we have seen a difference from before earlier in the season, like your glass out in the second half. But as long as they keep learning, game to game, and we keep it more consistently over the 90 minutes, then we will keep getting stronger as a team.
Yeah.
The crazy thing for me is our conversion rate. You know, the amount of chances that we create in a game, and whether it is from unreal goalkeeping on the day, fantastic defending, or really, really hopeless finishing, combination all three. And for whatever reason, we can't put our finger on that, but there are times when we absolutely dominate a team. We create 4 or 5 outstanding chances and don't score. And that's the thing that, you know, we need to improve. How do we do it? Well, you know, that's what we keep working hard on, because in training the lads are clinical. You know, we've got some fantastic finishers at the football club. But when you look at other teams, they might have 2 chances and score 2 goals. And for all of our dominance and for all of our good attacking play and the creating chances that, you know, we do in abundance, we have to, I'm sure, when football returns, saying it, but somebody will be on the wrong end of a big scoreline from us. But yeah, we just need to get that bit sorted. But
we need to break the 3-goal curfew. As Ash likes to say.
You're the one who defends it, Jack. I was just about to say you've heard it from the manager's mouth now. That argument is over. We need to score more goals.
Well, I've got to
hey, listen, Jack, I'm with you. If we win 1-0, I'm happy with that. I'm absolutely delighted with that. But, you know, I think just for kind of everyone's sanity, we do need to put somebody away. We do need to put somebody away early doors. But yeah, listen, mate, I'm with you. I'll take a 1-0 all day long.
100%.
Just the standard, isn't it? It's the standard. You go in full time and you've won 2-0 or 2-1, and we've had all them chances. It'd be wrong of us to be quiet about it and say, well done, lads. We've got to pull them out on it.
Yeah,
and they know. The lads know.
Yeah, I mean, every player we've had on has said it. One side's going to be on the back of a Tonkin. It's just when that comes, hopefully, when we can get started again. But yeah, fantastic. Go on, Shepard. Are we back to you, or we're still with Ash?
No, go on, Ash.
It's for Sam now. No, it's you.
Go on, Sam.
I've done that too.
This is your question anyway, Sam.
I was just saying it's for you, this, Sam.
The last few games, I've done a bit of video. I've videoed the last few games for you.
Just a plug. I want to know what you like, because it's good that you are that you want in it. So what do you get from it, and have you put that into other games? Because obviously we did the last 4 or 5, I think, before lockdown.
Go on, Robbo.
Yeah. So we look at it heavily. I mean, even not just our games, we look at loads of different games, even Premier League football, and we talk about it. I think as a whole, a lot of our system of play builds from our out of possession. I think if we're all over the place out of possession, we're not structured and disciplined as a team, then when you are back in possession, then you're going to be all over the place. And you're not going to be able to get them patterns of play, getting the switch on the go. So we look heavily into that, the out of possession side of it, and make sure lads are in the shape, and if lads are getting back slow or whatever. But this season, we've worked a lot on triggers as well. So out of possession, we want to show teams into certain areas, which then as a team, we know exactly where we want to be pressuring and where we want to force them to. So that's been one pleasing thing for this season for me and Balls. And there's been some games, and we tell the lads they need to celebrate that when we do win the ball back, when we are pressing and we're pushing in the areas, triggers as a team, we need to celebrate that like it's a goal. Because you get the adrenaline rush and we go again and again and again. So for me, that's been really pleasing this season. But that's where the footage of the games comes in, because we can get to see that.
It's invaluable. It's invaluable, Sam, because, you know, when you stood at the sideline, you know, you're at pitch level and there is always emotion attached, you know, regardless of whether you're winning, whether you're losing, whether someone makes a great tackle, misses a great chance, whatever it may be. There is emotion attached, and you do see things slightly different in real time than what you do when you can watch the video back. And the best thing for me and Robbo is we can look away from the ball. You know, we can see what players are doing away from the ball and where they should be, and what they should be doing and what their role is. But yeah, me and Robbo say to the players all the time, you know, we're a little bit geeky like that, and we do. First thing on a Sunday morning, first thing we do is we speak about, you know, the game, and if there's any footage anywhere, then, you know, we send each other the footage and we have a look at it and we have a review about it that way. But we always say to the lads, I'm not sure if you've watched the footage from Tuesday night or from Saturday. They must look at me and Robbo and think, you two just spend all your time looking at football games. But we do, you know, and it is brilliant for us because, you know, there's no denying it. You can't hide from it. You can't say that didn't happen because it's evidential. So, you know, we appreciate it, Sam. So thank you very much.
Right, yeah. That's his ego boosted for the week. Let's move on.
I didn't even write that question. You did, but anyway.
Sam, you asked him to put it in. You asked him to put it in.
Sam just highlighted it.
I've got the money in my account to prove it to you. But, we'll move on now. We've had you for quite a long time, so we'll move on to the last section. Questions from the audience. We asked for different questions in the end of the Kingies episode, and we got some in. So first of all, from Riley Somerville, who we all know, great Ferriby fan. So when recruiting, do you prefer to bring in players who fit into a system, or do you bring in players and fit a system around them?
Great question. I think when a player is available and who's going to enhance you, then you'd be daft not to consider them. But like we've alluded to already, it's the full package that we look to recruit. You know, they've got to fit what we want on the pitch, of course, but off the pitch is just as important for us. And if we can get somebody who can deliver on and off the pitch, then we're into a winner. Now, with regards to a system, we do have a preferred system, but you've also got to be adaptable as well and be able to switch if needed, if things aren't working. So I think when we bring players in, they've got to be able to be adaptable and be able to fit different systems and play different roles. You know, look at Ben Leyland. We've played Ben Leyland as an out-and-out right fullback. He has certain criteria that we want him to do, but then we've played him further forward, and you know, he goes and scores great goals and gets into great pockets in that position as well. So, you know, players have got to be adaptable. But yeah, for us, it's the full package. They've got to be technically, tactically astute. They've got to be a good human being who are going to kind of fit into the dressing room and not cause any problems that way as well.
Yeah,
we do like a few formations as well. There's a couple that we really like, but we haven't really had to change it this season, have we? So we've kind of been quite consistent in the one we've been using. So
yeah,
I think it's key to have a couple of formations without doubt if things aren't going quite right.
I think for the question, you know, for argument's sake, we probably looked at strengthening at centre half last year. So, you know, we looked to recruit a player who fit that bill to fit that system as well. You know, so we knew we wanted somebody of kind of Tillo's ilk, and you know, we managed to come up trumps with him.
Yeah, definitely. So the next one from Neil Baxter, he says, it must be hard to keep motivated with all the stop and start of this season. If we can't continue this season, are you already planning for next season?
I think just based on that, you've always got to be thinking about next season. You can't just shut off from football. So I've always got to be looking at where I want to be strengthening. But right now, I think with what's going on, it's all about just looking after what you've got. And just making sure the lads are all good and just hearing out for the next news, because who knows what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's been really, really difficult, Annette, because I think prior to this latest kind of stoppage, we've always been optimistic, and it's been quite short in the sense that you can see something's going to happen and we'll be all right, and we managed to train again and we've got another game. You know, we had the luxury of the Vars game, so we were managed to kind of keep that little bit of momentum. And it's only kind of from this latest lockdown that all of a sudden it's kind of becoming a little bit more real, that the fact that it's very, very unlikely that we're going to kick a ball again this season. So I think, from what Monday brings with regards to the next announcement will probably determine how the rest of the season is going to unfold, if anything. And then I think from there, then we will obviously make plans and movements. But for us, I think we've recruited well. The lads are really, really happy at the football club. So for us, it would be definitely, like Robbo said, trying to keep everyone together, really.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Fantastic. Right, go on, Ash.
Yeah, I've got a question for you now, Robbo. I did say last week that I don't have to be football related, and this one I don't think is. So, Robert, why do people call you Rounders Bat? Is the question we've got.
I'm pretty sure I know who wrote that.
Yeah, Steve Burton. Sorry,
yeah, it's got no comment on this one. No comment.
Awesome.
Quickly move on then before we get into some sketchy ground. We've got a few questions off Anthony Wood. I'll just take his first one. Have the club given you any achievements that you have to reach?
No official. No, nothing official. Obviously, the once we met initially with Les, it was our own aims and ambitions to kind of get the club back to where we feel it belongs, and we want to achieve that in as quick as time as possible. We're realistic, we're respectful of where we are and who we're against, but yeah, we've got our own aims and ambitions, and we go into every game wanting to win. We'll go into every season with our ultimate aim of winning the league, and that's just the way we are. But we are respectful in it as well, and we don't think that we have any right to walk a league or anything like that. So there's no directives from the chairman, other than probably he agrees with mine and Robbo's targets.
Like you say, it don't change, because when we was in the Conference North, obviously with the lesser budget, and the lads back then was playing against some big teams on big budgets, and it's the same aim. We want to win every game. You don't go in there looking for a draw. You go in to win. So no matter what team you're at and what level you're at, that's the aim every time.
Yeah, definitely. Fantastic.
Right, is it me?
Yeah, go on, mate.
So Anthony's next question was a couple of sort of tactical ones here. He said, why do we not leave anyone up for opposition corners, as he thinks we don't seem to have a lot of an outlet after clearing?
Yeah, good. No, that's a good observation. Well done. It's a part of our philosophy and the way we defend set pieces, and we have a kind of set routine and a set kind of idea. And there's been only one set piece that we've conceded from, I think, in the last 2 seasons, really. That I can remember. So it works for us. The idea, obviously, if we clear the ball big, then yeah, we've got nobody up there. But at the same time, if you look at our level, you'll see that most teams leave 2 back, regardless of whether we leave anybody up or not. So straight away, we've got a huge numerical advantage defending our primary target, which is to stop a goal going in.
Yeah.
If we clear the ball, then we obviously have time and role to kind of then adapt to the second phase. But ultimately, the primary aim is to defend the first phase, which is don't concede from that set piece. And if we've got a 2-person numerical advantage and the way we kind of set the lads up, we should be in a position to be able to defend that well. And we do have a sprint, we do have lads that if we do clear the ball, we want a certain thing for them. But that's just the way we set up.
Yeah.
I think we looked as well at how effective it is having someone up top, and how often do they really get on the ball and it sticks and then you play off it. It's very, very rare. It's very rare. So I think it's worked for us.
That's a good answer. His next one was, so obviously he sees TC as being a great striker, so he wanted to know a bit about what was the process in giving Tom this new role on the wing rather than being directly up front?
Well, TC's a really clever player, which we've known before, and we know that just because you're playing out wide, you don't have to be this little rapid player who just gets your head down and goes at defenders. There's different ways to play that position, especially if you've got a good mind of the game. So using him out there, obviously, it also gives someone else the option to play up top, so it gives you a little bit more attacking stability with both of them. But TC plays it really well, and it's effective on the diag when you're playing the long ball. Instead of just playing to a man down the middle, just flicking it on, it's got to be an amazing flick once it gets one of the wingers involved.
Yeah, definitely.
We're now hitting him on the diag and just flicking it into the striker's path or into the number 10's path. So there's loads of advantages for having him out there, and he's took to the position perfectly. He gets some great pockets off the ball. I think sometimes he actually saves his legs playing out there.
Yeah, definitely.
I think if you look traditionally, centre halves are always big, strong, robust, good aerially. Tom does amazing as a number 9 through the middle and competes really, really well. But more often than not, he's much physically bigger than any fullback he plays against. So if we can get him into that position, then already he's winning that duel comfortably. And then we've got other attacking players who can play off that first phase that we're more often than not going to win. But Robert alluded to it. He's an intelligent player, and it takes a brain to play that position, especially the way we want him to play, and they have to be thinking all the time. And I think it's helped him improve where he needs to be and what he needs to do. And then if we do need to utilise him as a number 9 again, he appreciates the positioning and what people should be doing in that role.
Definitely.
I think with a fullback like Loz as well, he benefits from it, because instead of having a winger who just goes at defenders, Loz can now get involved on the overlap around TC as well. So it's got benefits all over the place.
I guess it helps having, obviously we saw before lockdown, probably Lee Hutchinson's most consistent run in the side since he's been at the club. So I guess that helps having him there to play that number 9 role as well.
Definitely, Hutch is someone that we've admired for a long time, and you can see the attributes it brings to the side. And Hutch is the type of player that needs to play down the middle. So if we are going to play that system, then that's where Hutch has got to fit, and we need players who can play around him and fit what we want. And obviously, like we said, Tom's an intelligent player, and it allows Hutch to play right down the middle. But we've also got a great attacking threat with Tom there. And if you think the ball coming in from the right, then we've got a great attacking option at the back stick with Tom coming in there as well, which we've seen a couple of times. The goal in the FA Vase that he scores, that was disallowed, from a back stick header. That's that option that you've got as well.
Yeah, definitely.
When you're talking new signings as well, when you speak of Hutch, the impact he has on the team when he plays is phenomenal.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. I thought because I think at the time going into Wythenshawe, we thought we were a bit thin on the ground here. We'd played a lot of games, and then we saw that Hutch was playing, and we thought, this is a great option to have. And in the second half, especially, he was great in that game. And I think it's been good to see him have that consistent run in the team. Since the Wythenshawe game up to the Seaham game, really.
He's crazy though.
His work rate's superb, and we have to tell him not to run as much. His legs a little bit. He's that willing to put the leg work in. But superb.
Fantastic. Right. So finally for what we've got, a question from our 4th member, James. James Chester. Who's the best player you've both played against?
I was obviously fortunate enough to play against some decent players when I first made my kind of early stages into professional football at Grimsby. So I was lucky enough to play against Paul Gascoigne when he was finishing his career. I played against Paul Ince when he was at Wolverhampton Wanderers. I played against King Clancy when he was at Derby. So I was fortunate enough to play against some good players in that season. But there was probably coming to the end of their career, but experience wise and what they've been and done was just amazing for me as a young lad to play against them.
Fantastic. What about you, Robert?
Probably Freddie Youngberg, I'd say, when I was younger, I went to mark him as a winger anyway. Just absolutely different levels to it. You soon find that out.
Fantastic.
Well,
thank you very much.
That brings us to the end then.
Do we not get all the lads' questions?
No, we didn't decide to do that for you because we thought you was a bit what's the word? A bit mature for that.
We don't want people falling out over your answers.
Danny Buttle's already been called the worst dressed by all, but he doesn't need any more.
I'm surprised Danny Buttle left the amount of
It's every time, isn't it? He gets every time.
It does.
I think there's consistency in is it the moodiest? Is it?
Yeah.
There's consistency there, aren't they?
Those all the time. Tillo the Madhouse. Yeah, a lot of them come up quite a lot of the time. But no,
best trainer's interesting as well, isn't it?
Yeah, we get quite a few for that, don't we? A few Kirkies, a few MOs.
Bad MO a couple of times, yeah.
Quite.
Joel's there, aren't he?
Yeah, Joel's been mentioned a few times. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, gents, thank you. I'm doing Sam's job here. Thank you very much.
I'm gonna say, just leave me something, Jack.
Sorry, I've talked too much.
But yeah, say thanks a lot for coming on. It's been really, really good. Thanks to the fans that sent the questions in as well. Obviously, it's not looking great for us getting back on the pitch again this season, but just. Obviously, we know you're going to keep at it behind the scenes, doing what you can and planning for whenever we might get back on the pitch again. But great interview, really good insight into playing and management. And thanks to both of you for coming on. And I'm sure the two lads would echo that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's been great.
Fair play as well, lads. It's quality of what you're doing, and I know the lads are loving it as well. So
cheers.
No, thanks for having us. And like I said to you right at the beginning, I've enjoyed listening to a few of them. Just plug your earphones in and crack on with whatever you're doing. You can listen to some good stories. But no, thank you very much for inviting us, lad. You're doing
good stuff.
Thank you very much,
Cheers.
gents. And hopefully it won't be too much longer before we see you back at the ground and having a pint moaning about Premier League football again.
Not much longer till I can pester you both for the team again.
Yeah. We'll take a 1-0.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. I look forward to it. But no, thank you very much, gents. It's been fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Keep safe, both of you, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Cheers, guys.
See you later, boys.
Cheers, boys.
Bye.
Cheers, thank you.
Well, there we go then. That's Chris Boulder and Paul Robson. We seem to say this every week, but I really enjoyed that. Well, it was really good.
I think that was our best technology-wise one as well. I don't think we had many technical.
No, we didn't.
The Wi-Fi connection for both of them was
fantastic. They could come on every week.
Must be
there was one point.
Must have good Wi-Fi.
One point I went, but I motored through.
You did. You couldn't tell.
So I think there's something wrong with my headphone wire or something. But
up the 5G West Dulwich.
I really enjoyed that. I thought they were both really good and insight into their tactics and thoughts as a management duo. I thought really interesting. So we've had a few different perspectives now. We've had current players, we've had former legends, we've had staff off the pitch. Sean, who's been through all sorts with the club and the old club, and now we've had the management side of it. So we're definitely covering all bases through this lockdown. I believe I've been totally cut out of this, but you two have put a list together for the next few weeks. So
we have.
It's not down on pen and paper yet. It was just a verbal conversation we had earlier while Assault was asking me what I was doing in Hessel. There's no reason to be in Hessel. I don't know why I was in Hessel. I just was.
There's an unnecessary journey, I'm telling Boris.
Oh, just don't put it on that, should I? Fuck. It'll be round.
I just want to say as well, thanks. So we had Riley Somerville, Neil Baxter, Steve Burton, Anthony Wood, and James Chesney. Just thanks to those of you who sent questions in. we might not do this every time, but it's something we might revisit and come back to.
Definitely.
And we'll sort out another guest for next week. And just finally, I just want to say massive raps to Mark and James Chesney for the auction, because more details will be out soon, but some of the things they've got are absolutely fantastic, and I think
Unbelievable.
It's a really, really good event for the club, and it's been a massive amount of work that them two, and I know you've helped out as well, Jack. But
nowhere near on the scale of them two, mate. What
them two has been absolutely fantastic. So from the three of us, I want to say well done for that, and we can't wait until people find out the full details of how you can get involved and pick up some really great stuff and
definitely
raise hopefully a lot of money for Ferriby in the process. So yeah,
100%.
that's watch this space for that one, and it's something that we will definitely be plugging on this show every week when we find out a bit more. So that's something to look forward to. But that brings us to the end of another one well in excess of an hour and a half. So yeah, we'll get this out next week. Yeah, thanks to you two as always, and
to you, Samuel.
Next week.
Norris, cheers, guys.
Cheers, lads.
Have a good week.
Brilliant. Cheers, guys. See you in a bit.